Welcome to a bone-chilling journey through the life of one of America's most notorious serial killers, Jeffrey Dahmer. Brace yourself as we delve into the dark mind of a man whose heinous crimes shocked the world. This is a story of unimaginable horror, a tale of true events that will leave you stunned. Chapter 1: Early Life and Signs of Trouble. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was born on May 21, 1960, in West Allis, Wisconsin, to Lionel and Joyce Dahmer. From a young age, signs of trouble emerged in his life. As a child, he showed a fascination with dismembering animals. Dahmer's parents' marital problems further added to the emotional turmoil he experienced during his childhood. Chapter 2: The Murders Begin. In 1978, after his parents' divorce, Jeffrey Dahmer committed his first murder. His first known victim was Stephen Hicks. The murder occurred on June 18, 1978, when Dahmer was 18 years old shortly after high school graduation. Stephen Hicks was a 19-year-old hitchhiker whom Dahmer encountered while driving in his car. Dahmer offered Hicks a ride, and they ended up at Dahmer's childhood home in Bath, Ohio. While at the house, Dahmer offered Hicks alcohol, and after drinking together, Hicks expressed his desire to leave. Dahmer, fearing that Hicks would tell his parents about the alcohol, bludgeoned him to death with a dumbbell. He then buried Hicks' body in a shallow grave in the backyard. After this first killing, Dahmer's murderous tendencies continued to escalate over the years. He did not kill again until several years later when he moved to Wisconsin. The exact reasons behind Dahmer's descent into serial killing are complex and not entirely clear. However, there are several factors that may have contributed to his actions. 1. Troubled childhood. Dahmer had a difficult childhood and struggled with feelings of isolation and social awkwardness. He was often left feeling abandoned, as his parents went through a tumultuous divorce during his adolescence. 2. Fascination with death. Dahmer developed a fascination with dead animals at a young age and would often dissect them. This macabre interest in death and dismemberment could have laid the groundwork for his later crimes. 3. Sexual fantasies and obsessions. Dahmer began to have violent and sadistic sexual fantasies involving dominance, control, and necrophilia. These fantasies gradually evolved, and he began acting them out on his victims. 4. Desire for control and possession. Dahmer's crimes were driven by a desire for complete control and possession over his victims. He wanted to have complete dominance over them, even after their deaths, which led to his acts of dismemberment, preservation of body parts, and necrophilia. 5. Escalation of violence. As with many serial killers, Dahmer's violent tendencies escalated over time. After his first murder, he experienced an increasing compulsion to kill and experiment with his victims' bodies. Chapter 3: The Horrific Rampage. From 1987 to 1991, Dahmer went on a brutal killing spree in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He targeted young men, mostly of African American and Asian descent, whom he lured into his apartment with the promise of money, alcohol, or a photo shoot. Dahmer drugged his victims and then strangled them to death, engaging in acts of necrophilia and dismemberment afterward. Shockingly, he kept souvenirs of his victims, preserving their body parts as trophies. Chapter 4: Narrow Escapes and Arrest. On at least 2 occasions, Dahmer's victims managed to escape, but the police did not thoroughly investigate the incidents, enabling him to continue his killing spree. One thing that many people forget about Jeffrey Dahmer is that he was initially arrested in 1991, not for murder, but for charges related to indecent behavior with a child and second-degree sexual assault. Prior to this arrest, Dahmer had already committed several murders. In 1991, one of the most notorious incidents in Dahmer's case involved the encounter with a 13-year-old Laotian boy named Konorak Synthesumphone. The boy managed to escape from Dahmer's apartment, and concerned citizens called the police. However, despite the boy's visible distress and the strong smell of decay coming from Dahmer's apartment, the police accepted Dahmer's explanation that they were just having a lover's spat. Tragically, the police returned the boy to Dahmer's apartment, and the subsequent events led to even more heinous crimes committed by Dahmer. This incident raised significant criticism of the Milwaukee Police Department's handling of the situation and sparked public outrage. It serves as a chilling reminder of the potential consequences when law enforcement fails to recognize and respond appropriately to warning signs of dangerous individuals. Jeffrey Dahmer's luck ran out in 1991 when one of his intended victims, Tracy Edwards, managed to escape from Dahmer's apartment. Tracy Edwards was held captive by Dahmer, who had drugged and intended to harm him, but he managed to flee when Dahmer was momentarily distracted. Tracy Edwards flagged down 2 police officers and led them back to Dahmer's apartment, where they discovered disturbing evidence of his crimes. This led to Jeffrey Dahmer's eventual arrest on July 22, 1991. The apprehension of Tracy Edwards played a crucial role in ending Dahmer's killing spree and bringing him to justice for the horrific crimes he committed. Chapter 5: Trial and Confession. Jeffrey Dahmer's trial took place in 1992 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He faced charges for the murder of 17 young men and boys, as well as charges related to other heinous acts, such as dismemberment, necrophilia, and cannibalism. The trial was one of the most high-profile criminal cases in American history due to the nature and extent of Dahmer's crimes. During the trial, Dahmer initially pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. His defense team argued that he suffered from various mental disorders, including necrophilia and borderline personality disorder, which impaired his ability to control his actions. The prosecution, on the other hand, sought to prove that Dahmer was fully aware of his actions and should be held criminally responsible. However, in a surprising turn of events, Dahmer changed his plea to guilty but sane midway through the trial. He admitted to committing all the crimes he was charged with, claiming that he acted with a clear mind and understood the consequences of his actions. This change in plea removed the insanity defense from the equation, making the trial focus on whether Dahmer should be held accountable for his actions. During his confession, Dahmer provided chilling details about the murders and the gruesome acts he committed on his victims' bodies. He spoke candidly about his motives, which often involved the desire to possess and control his victims even after their deaths. Dahmer's confession shocked the public and provided a glimpse into the mind of a serial killer. Ultimately, the jury found Dahmer guilty of all charges, and he was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms in prison. Despite his guilty plea, the trial's impact on the families of the victims and the public was profound, given the horrific nature of the crimes. In November 1994, Jeffrey Dahmer was murdered by a fellow inmate while serving his sentence at the Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin. His death marked the end of one of the most notorious and horrifying chapters in criminal history. The case of Jeffrey Dahmer remains one of the most gruesome and terrifying in the annals of crime history. It serves as a haunting reminder of the dark depths of the human psyche and the importance of understanding and addressing mental health issues. Let us never forget the victims and use their tragic stories to inspire a safer and more compassionate world.
Thanks for watching. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips. Make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our new videos.